Title: The Third Palm Tree, a Thai Warning. A warning for backpackers coming to Thailand. I live in Thailand, but not as an English teacher, NGO worker, or professional expat of any kind. I'm a local Thai, so if you were expecting some ladyboy joke from the title, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is something far more serious. I feel like I should warn you, especially you foreigners, about something I encountered last weekend. I know many foreigners don't usually believe in the supernatural, but I think this subreddit is different. People come here to read extraordinary stories because they believe there's some truth in them, right? So please, listen to my story. This knowledge might just save your life if you ever visit Thailand. I usually lurk on Reddit. It entertains me to read stories about other parts of the world. I'm just a regular office worker in Bangkok, wearing a tie, working on Excel spreadsheets, constantly getting scolded by my American boss. But my real home is out in the rural countryside, lush green rice fields, sugar palms rising in the distance, and gray hills fading into the horizon. It's the soothing side of my childhood. I was raised out there. My parents are rice farmers. I used to take their buffaloes out to graze, just so I could nap on their backs all afternoon. That place is wrapped in nostalgia for me. Now that I work in the city, I try to visit them whenever I can. They're getting old, too old for farming, but still they refuse to rest. Imagine being 60 and hunched over in the sun all day, planting rice from dawn till dusk. I visit just to bring them a little happiness, sometimes a small gift from the city. Usually, it's money. But when I'm short, I bring American sweets or cookies I know they've never tasted before. Sorry, I'm rambling. Back to the point. It was this past weekend when something strange happened, something terrifying. If someone else had told me this, I might have smiled politely and thought they were being superstitious. But now that I've seen it myself, I don't know what to believe anymore. Last Saturday, I planned to visit my parents early in the morning, but my boss dropped a last-minute project on me. He needed his PowerPoint finished by 3 p.m. Great. It takes 5 hours by train to get home, and the last train leaves at 2 p.m. So I worked like a madman, skipped lunch, cranked out the presentation, then raced to the train station. I made it, barely, but that meant I'd have to walk to my parents' house in the dark. And that made me uneasy. In my village, no one walks around after sunset. Everyone knows that. Before you judge me, I'm not a superstitious man. I'm a city guy, an office worker, a man of science. I'm more worried about being mugged or murdered, even if that's unlikely in a place as quiet as my hometown. But something about walking that trail after dark tapped into a very old fear. In my village, and many others like it, we believe in ghosts and spirits. Growing up, I was taken to a shaman when I was sick, not a doctor. When I was 13, I got dengue fever. The village shaman, an old woman with blackened teeth from chewing betel nuts, crouched over me and said I was cursed by a malevolent spirit. She said I would die if we didn't make an offering. My parents believed her. They cooked a feast, prayed to a banyan tree, lit candles, and invited monks to chant for my soul. And I recovered. Of course, I know now that dengue is caused by a virus transmitted by mosquitoes. But when beliefs like that are drilled into you from childhood, they never really leave. As I rode the train, then switched to the bus winding through the countryside, I couldn't relax. I kept checking my phone, shifting in my seat. My parents had told me to visit next weekend instead. When I said I was already on the way, they told me I should just sleep at the train station. I ignored them. I wanted to surprise them. I wanted to prove that village beliefs were just outdated superstition. I thought I was being rational, brave even. Looking back now, I think I was just trying to silence my own fear. When I got off the bus, around 8 p.m., the track to my parents' house looked longer than I remembered. We have streetlights along the main road, but not on the small trails. The path ran between two rice fields, partially flooded for the season. The first 100 meters were lit, but beyond that I had to use my phone's flashlight, just in case of snakes or scorpions. The wind blew through the fields with a low whistle, and I shivered. I walked slowly, clutching a talisman around my neck. Then I saw them, 3 sugar palms on the right. I paused. There were only supposed to be 2. I raised my flashlight and checked again. 2 trees. Then I heard it. A soft plop. Water behind me. I spun around. There, in the field, stood 2 impossibly long legs. I looked up. A pale, naked, emaciated body. Arms like sticks. Its chest rose slowly, unnaturally. I couldn't scream. Couldn't move. I fell backward into the muddy paddy, my phone slipping from my hand. The thing leaned forward, folding its long, spidery limbs, and brought its face into the beam of my dropped phone. Its eyes were cloudy, white, like the blind. Its mouth was small, puckered, no bigger than my finger. Its hair was thin and wispy, like spider silk. It inhaled through that tiny hole, a high-pitched, wheezing whistle that somehow sounded like speech. It didn't attack. It waited. Then it lifted its hands, long, pale, and wide, and pressed them together in a Y. A Thai greeting, a prayer, a plea. I knew what it wanted. Some part of me, buried deep, remembered the old stories. I was supposed to respond, offer it food, show respect. But I couldn't move. I couldn't think. Its expression changed. The pale eyes reddened. The whistle stopped. Then, out of its mouth, a tongue began to unroll. Red, wet, long, first the length of my arm, then longer. That broke the spell. I screamed. I pressed my palms together, nodded, and begged. I told it I'd prepare a feast. I'd pray for its soul, that it would never go hungry again, that monks would help it find peace. The tongue stopped growing. Slowly, it slid back into its tiny mouth. It stared at me, then stood on its stick-thin legs, and turned, swaying as it vanished into the dark. The plopping of water grew faint, then silent. I stayed there, drenched and shivering, until the streetlights flickered back on. Then I grabbed my phone and ran, faster than I ever have, all the way home. According to local myth, what I saw was a pret, a lost soul, forever hungry because its mouth was too small to eat. It wanders the spirit world, starving and cursed. The next morning, I went straight to the temple. I bought noodles and placed them beneath the 2 sugar palms near our house, soft enough to fit through its mouth. I prayed that it would never return. Now, I'm back in Bangkok, and I keep thinking, what if I hadn't remembered the old stories? What if I had mocked the tales instead of believing, just for a moment? It would have killed me, drained my blood, ripped me open, eaten what it could. So, here's my warning to you, fellow travelers coming to Thailand. I know you like to visit rural places for that authentic cultural experience, but those places are often cut off from the world you know. If you ever meet something unexplainable, something not human, don't be arrogant. Don't hide behind your logic. Pray. Offer food. Show respect. Superstition may be what saves your life. Title: The Spirit of Tailing Chan. This happened one summer in Bangkok, Thailand, about 3 weeks after I arrived for an international exchange program. It's a story about culture, humility, and a lesson I won't forget. My name is Anna. Along with 19 other students from across Southeast Asia, I was studying at a university near the Chao Phraya River. But it was the week of Songkran, the Thai New Year, so classes were on break. Most of the students in our dorm, located on Boromaracha Konani Road in the Taling Chan district, had gone home for the holidays. At about 20 minutes past midnight, my Indonesian roommate, Wanda, was already asleep. I was lying in bed, just about to drift off, when someone started knocking on our door, loud and fast. I was annoyed. I figured it was another girl from the floor needing something small, maybe toothpaste. The knocks were so heavy and urgent, I was surprised no one else woke up. The walls were paper thin. Next to the door was a frosted glass panel, and I saw a crouched silhouette behind it. It didn't strike me as odd at first. I walked over, put my hand on the locked doorknob, and asked, "Who is it?" Then a woman began speaking, fast, in an excited Thai, but her voice wasn't coming from behind the door. It was coming from behind me, from above me, from every direction all at once. After a few sentences, the voice stopped, the silhouette disappeared, and strangely, I didn't hear any footsteps walking away, even though sounds always echoed through the hallways. I froze. I was too scared to move, but didn't want to stay by the door either. I just knew, deep in my chest, that whatever spoke wasn't human, or wasn't human anymore. And yet, I didn't scream. I didn't faint. I just turned around, got back into bed, and somehow, I fell asleep. I didn't speak Thai, and I wasn't sure if that helped or made things worse. I thought about waking Wanda, but didn't want to look ridiculous. The next morning, I was up before Wanda, which was rare. She usually woke before dawn to pray. She took one look at me sitting there and knew something was wrong. I told her what had happened. Her face tightened with concern. She knelt on her mat, facing east, and started praying. Later that morning, I gathered the other girls on our floor and told them the same story. The ones from the Philippines were clearly spooked. Bufa, the only girl from Cambodia, looked shaken. The Vietnamese girl stayed calm. Dao, the eldest girl from Laos and the one who usually kept a level head, wasn't around. She had gone to visit her sister near Chulalongkorn. I wish she'd been there. She once told me her own house was haunted by spirits that shook her bed at night. The boys didn't say much. One suggested placing a Buddha image in our room. That night, Davin from Laos showed me how to do the traditional Buddhist bow at the dorm's entrance shrine. I followed his lead and bowed properly for the first time. After dinner, Wanda went back to our room to pray and work on her thesis. I stayed downstairs in the lobby with the others. About an hour later, she came running, yelling for me. I caught her in my arms and asked, "What happened?" She said she had fallen asleep but woke to someone whispering in her ear in rapid Thai. When she opened her eyes, a long strand of white hair was lying across her chest. She couldn't move at first, but once the whispering stopped, she bolted and ran straight down to find me. That shook us all. I was raised Catholic but hadn't practiced in years. Still, some of the others began praying and trying to protect us from whatever was visiting our room. Davin, who understood Thai, started speaking with a few Thai students who were still in the lobby. Strangely, none of them seemed surprised. One of them explained that if the woman had white hair and had visited us, she might be the building's guardian spirit, known as KOT. They said everyone had seen her at least once. They even pointed across the street to a restaurant where colorful cloth was tied around a wooden beam, offerings for the KOT of that land. I'd seen cloths like that all over the area, but never knew their meaning. It was starting to make sense, but one question lingered. Why our room? Then a Thai student asked, "Did you ask for permission to stay?" I blinked. Permission? From who? From the KOT. We always ask before moving into a room. My heart sank. Of all the rooms, the one with two girls who didn't grow up Buddhist and didn't know the customs ended up together. Everyone else had asked permission, even just once. I felt ashamed. I hadn't meant to be disrespectful. The students reassured me. If anything, the KOT was welcoming us, not trying to harm us. That night, Wanda and I went back to our room. We stood in the center, hands clasped, and spoke aloud in our native languages, asking for permission to stay, hoping the sincerity would reach her. She never came back. Not to us, not to anyone else on our floor. When our time in Thailand came to an end, we remembered to thank her as we left. And ever since, in every new room I sleep in, I quietly ask for permission to stay. Title: The Thing in the Corner. My friend and I had been backpacking across Asia for a couple of months before heading back to the States. Toward the end of our trip, we made a stop in Phuket, Thailand. We checked into a small Airbnb-style hotel for the night. Nothing fancy, just a place to sleep. That night, we went to bed, like usual. We'd been sharing beds for most of the trip, so it wasn't anything new. I was in a deep sleep when I suddenly woke up to my friend grabbing my arm tight. Her face was frozen in terror. I remember blinking, still groggy, and asking what was wrong. She didn't answer right away. She just stared past me and whispered, "Do you see it?" She pointed, hand trembling, toward the corner of the room, her side of the bed. I turned to look. What I saw didn't make sense. There was something in the corner, something big. It was shifting, moving, expanding, and collapsing into itself like it couldn't decide on a shape. It had this strange energy, like the air was being sucked out of the room. The thing was dark, almost black, but had streaks of glowing metallic red running through it. It didn't look human, not even close. My brain couldn't fully grasp it. I didn't even think. I just pointed to and said quietly, "Yeah, it's growing." And that's it. The last thing I remember is that moment, pointing, feeling afraid, and then nothing. Not sleep, just gone. We both blacked out. The next morning, we didn't even talk about it. We just looked at each other and said something like, "That was weird, huh?" And then moved on. Years later, out of nowhere, we brought it up again. We compared what we remembered. Same thing, same feeling, same description, same blacking out. It's still one of the strangest, most terrifying things I've ever experienced. I have no explanation. Hello everyone, Spectral Dream here. I just wanted to thank everyone who's been supporting my small channel. If you or anyone you know has a story you'd like me to narrate, please feel free to comment down in the comment section and I'll see what I can do. I look forward to telling everyone spooky stories. And if you're new here, please have a seat and come along with us on this journey.